force between two magnets. In Coulomb's law, we found the force between two magnetic poles. This is pole 1, this is pole 2. If they are separated by a distance r, then pole strength of this one is m1 and m2. Remember, these are not two magnets, only monopoles. Actually, monopoles do not exist. But Coulomb's law states that the force between these two magnetic poles is given by product of the magnitude of this pole strength by square of the distance between these two. So F is equal to mu naught by 4 pi m1 m2 by r square. This is Coulomb's law, and remember students, this can be applied only for two magnetic poles. Two magnetic poles. But here, force between two magnetic poles is given by this formula. Force between two magnets is given by. So here I am going to write, this is the first magnet, north pole and south poles. This is the second magnet. Let us say this is north pole and south pole. And the magnetic pole strength is not given, but directly magnetic moment is given for this one. Let me take this as m1, a bar magnet of moment m1. This is a bar magnet of moment m2, and these are the two centers, and distance between these two is given by d. Center to center distance is d. So how to find the force between these two? Here what we can say, we can find force between these two by using this formula. This pole and this pole, one force. Force between repulsive force between these two, repulsive force between these two, attractive force between these two. So we will get four different forces, and algebraic sum of all these forces will be equal to the force between two magnets, but it's a lengthy process. That's why I'm going to use, as the second magnet is placed on the axial line of the first bar magnet. So what is the magnetic moment, magnetic field induction on this one? The magnetic field induction at this distance from the center is given by, here I am writing, magnetic induction due to the first bar magnet at the center of the second bar magnet is given by mu naught by 4 pi 2 m1 by d cube. This is the magnetic field induction at this point due to this bar magnet on its axial line. So whenever magnetic field is acting on this one, so this magnet, this second bar magnet is in a magnetic field produced by the first bar magnet. So it will experience some force, and it will experience some energy. So energy stored in this bar magnet is given by U is equal to minus mb. So what we are going to write here, the magnetic moment at this point due to this one magnetic induction, this is b1. Similarly, what is m2 here? M2 also acting in the same direction from south to north. So this is m2. So here m2 dot b1, which is equal to minus m2 b1 cos 0, because both are acting in the same direction. Cos 0 is equal to 1. So the net energy, potential energy of this bar magnet in this field is given by m2 into b1. This is equal to 1. m2 is m2 given already. b1 is this much. Now let me substitute these values here. The potential energy is given by minus m2 into b1 is this one, mu naught by 4 pi 2 m1 by d cube. So the potential energy is given by minus mu naught by 4 pi 2 m1 m2 by d cube. So this is the potential energy of this system. But as we are wishing to find out the force, and a magnetic field is a conservative field, in any conservative field, force is the negative gradient of the potential energy that already discussed in electrostatics. Now we can write F is given by minus of d by dr of this one minus mu naught by 4 pi 2 m minus mu naught by 4 pi 2 m1 m2 by d cube. So this is the expression here. Now So F is given by, here you can see minus of minus will become plus. So this can be written as, bring the constants outside, mu naught by 4 pi is a constant, minus of minus plus. 2 is constant, the magnetic moments of the two Bohr magnets is constant. So you have to differentiate only that d cube only. So d by dr of 1 by d cube. So this can be written as mu naught by 4 pi, 2 times the product of the magnetic moments, and the remaining terms are 1 by d cube. So d by dr of d power minus 3. So this will become minus 3 d power minus 4. This can be written as mu naught by 4 pi 2 m1 m2 into minus 3 d power minus 4. So minus 3 into 2 will be minus 6. Mu naught by 4 pi minus 6 into m1 m2 by d power minus 4 comes down. This will become d power 4. So once again we got minus here. So this will be equal to minus of mu naught by 4 pi 6 m1 m2 by d power 4. So this is the force here. Now in this case you can see force is negative here. Negative means attractive force. Why? Because you can see north and south poles are nearer to each other. Then the force of attraction between these two magnets is given by mu naught by 4 pi times the 6 into product of the two magnetic moments by d power 4. In case of poles, only poles, force inversely proportional to r square between two poles. And here force inversely proportional to d power 4 between two magnets. So please remember this one. So we have to use this formula only if the poles are given, and we have to use this formula when the magnets are given. When the magnets are given and the distance increases, force decreases rapidly when compared to this one, because this is d power 4. Suppose if this magnet is reversed here, let us say instead of south pole, let us say if you keep north pole and south pole, north repels, and compared to the other forces, the repulsive force is more. Why? Because these two are nearer. Then you can write the same expression, finally you will get plus here. Plus means repulsive force. So here I am writing, if F is negative, nature of the force is attractive. If F is positive, nature of the force is repulsive. Magnets are placed like this. This is the first Bohr magnet, south pole and north pole, and this is the magnetic moment M1, and one more magnet, a smaller one compared to the size of this one. Let us say south pole and north pole. This is M2. So now if you join these two, center of these two Bohr magnets, the distance between these two, let us say d. So how to find the force of attraction between these two Bohr magnets? First of all, what is the magnetic field induction at this point due to this one? Wherever you want to find out magnetic field induction, so we have this formula. This is the equatorial line. So B at this point due to the first Bohr magnet is given by mu naught by 4 pi. This is m1 by d cube. This is the magnetic field induction. But what is its direction? Whenever we want to find out electric field, just to assume that unit positive charge is placed there. But when you are finding magnetic field induction, just to assume that unit north pole is placed there, 1 ampere meter. These two repels, these two attracts. So this is the direction of magnetic field here. You can see M2, which is active from south to north, and B1 are opposite to each other. So what is the potential energy here? Minus MB cos theta. So this will become minus M2 into P1. Angle between these two is 180. Cos 180 is minus 1. So potential energy will be M2 B1. This is equation 1. Now, as it is a conservative force, we can write the force between these two is given by minus of du by dr. So minus of d by dr of u is equal to m2 b1. What is M2? M2 is the magnitude of the second Bohr magnet, constant. So I am writing this one, d by dr of M2 into B1 is given by this one, mu naught by 4 pi M1 by d cube. So this is a constant, M1, M2, mu naught, 4 pi constant. So mu naught by 4 pi M1, M2 d by dr of 1 by d cube. So which is given by mu naught by 4 pi m1 m2 into, we know this d power 4 will become minus d3 into d power minus 4 or minus 3 by d power 4. So now this is a negative here, we can write minus of mu naught by 4 pi 3 m1 m2 by d power 4. When two magnets are parallel on the same line, that is 6 m1 m2 by d power 4, if they are perpendicular to the line joining these two with the south poles or similar poles in the same direction, you can see negative means they attract with each other. If it is reversed, then this will become plus mu naught by 4 by 3 m1 m2 by d power 4. When a Bohr magnet suspended from a string, let us say this is a rigid support here. This is a small magnetic needle. Generally, the magnetic needle will have north and south poles. We will represent this as north with red color and south with black here. Now, if it is suspended in the Earth's magnetic field, generally it will oscillate for some time and finally comes to rest in the north-south directions of our Earth. So this is called a directive property of magnet. So it is discovered by Chinese. So directive property. Let us say in this position, when it comes to rest, we call it as equilibrium position. When it is in equilibrium, now if you displace it through a small angle, then it will oscillate for some time and finally it comes to rest once again in the north and south direction. So whenever a Bohr magnet which is under equilibrium is displaced through by an angle theta, it will oscillate for some time. So I am going to show the same diagram here. So this is the Bohr magnet or magnetic needle, a small magnetic needle which is already in this north and south directions of Earth. It is indicating, but what I am doing, I am just displacing it through an angle theta from this is the equilibrium position. So this is the angle made by the magnet, that means it is displaced by an angle theta here. Angular displacement is theta. Whenever it is displaced, we know that a dipole in magnetic field experiences a torque. The torque experienced by this one, we call it as a restoring torque experienced by a Bohr magnet or magnetic needle in a uniform magnetic field is given by mb sin theta. Here m is the magnetic moment of this Bohr magnet in this direction. B is earth horizontal component of earth magnetic field, and theta is the angle between m and b here. So this is the restoring torque developed. But we studied that the torque of any body is the product of moment of inertia and angular acceleration. When it is displaced by an angle theta, so when it is displaced by an angle theta, a restoring torque will be developed in the opposite direction and it will get acceleration, angular acceleration in the opposite direction to this angular displacement. So if the magnet is displaced like this, and it will experience an acceleration in the opposite direction. Now, this tau can also be written as I alpha, which is equal to mbh. If theta is very small, we can write sin theta as theta, replace sin theta with theta. Now we can write alpha is equal to mbh by I into theta. Here the magnetic needle will oscillate about this mean position. So this is angular simple harmonic motion. In linear symbolic motion, body moves along a line, but here it is oscillating about the mean position. So during this one, for linear SHM, the condition for linear SHM is acceleration is equal to minus omega square x. So acceleration directly proportional to displacement, but opposite to this one. But in case of angular SHM, This linear acceleration is this one denoted by angular acceleration minus mbh. Here first let me write this as minus omega square. Linear displacement can be denoted with angular displacement. These are the conditions for linear SHM and angular SHM. Here you can see the restoring torque is opposite to the force or torque experienced by us. To rotate this one we are applying some torque, but this torque is opposite to the torque applied by us. That's why we have to keep minus here. Now you compare this equation 1 with this equation 2, and you can compare this alpha with alpha, theta with theta, and minus omega square will be minus this one. So omega square is equal to mbh by I. Omega is equal to mbh by I. So this is the angular velocity of this dipole in this magnetic field. Now from this, what is the time taken by this dipole in this magnetic field to complete one oscillation? The time period is given by time period of oscillation is given by t is equal to 2 pi by omega. So t is equal to 2 pi by omega will be root over mbh by I. So this will be root over mbh by I. So time period is given by 2 pi root I is the moment of inertia of that bar magnet, m into magnetic moment of bar magnet, bh is the horizontal component of earth magnetic field. Generally in the form of a cuboid, we consider mass as m. Don't confuse with pole strength here. The mass of this one is m, length L, and the width b. So the moment of inertia generally given for this one is m into L square plus b square by 12. But for this is usual for a magnetic needle or small bore magnets. So the moment of inertia, if width is not considered, if only length is given, please remember, very important point this one. The moment of inertia generally taken as m by 12 into L square only. So whenever width is not mentioned in any problem, don't consider width, you just compare width as 0 and the remaining term will become m by 12 L square. Now, what happens if two bar magnets are placed one over the other? So first case 1, this is the first bar magnet, south pole and north pole, magnetic moment is m. Another identical bar magnet is placed on this one. This is south pole and north pole, m. So case is two identical bar magnets placed one over the other with like poles together. With like poles together. Now what is the time period here? This is given 2 pi root I dash by m dash bh. So this is, I will take t dash. This will become 2 pi root. What is I dash? Moment of inertia of these two magnets. Moment of inertia is a scalar quantity. So I can write I plus I here. So the total magnetic moment of inertia of these two bar magnets will become I plus I. This is a scalar quantity. I directly can add them. For this m is acting like this. For this also m is acting like this. The resultant magnetic moment is gone by m plus m into bh. So what is t dash now? T dash is equal to 2 pi root 2i by 2m into bh, 2 to get cancelled, 2 pi root I by mbh. But if you take magnetic time period for this one, only for one bar magnet, this will become 2 pi root I by mbh, and t dash also equal to t only. So both magnets in the first position time period was this much. When a similar bar magnet is placed on this one, the time period remains as t only. Now case 2, identical magnets with unlike poles together. identical bar magnets with unlike poles together. In this case, this is the first bar magnet, this is south pole and north pole, this is the second bar magnet, north pole and south poles. When unlike poles together, what is the time period of the only single bar magnet? 2 pi root I by mbh. But what is t dash now? This is 2 pi root I dash by m dash bh. So this is I dash by m dash bh. This is equal to 2 pi root I. Moment of inertia is not a vector, it is a scalar. So if it is I, this will become I plus I, this will become 2I by, what is m dash? For the first bar magnet, this one, field is, magnetic moment is acting in this direction. Second bar magnet, magnetic moment is opposite direction. Both are equal and opposite. Net magnetic moment will become m minus m into bh. Something by 0 will become infinity. So what is the meaning of this time period? Time period is infinity. That means to complete one oscillation, it will take infinite time. Infinite time means it never oscillate in this position. So never oscillate in this combination. Case 3. If a bar magnet is cut into n equal parts along its length. So time period is for single bar magnet 2 pi root I by mbh. Now I am taking a bar magnet. This is a bar magnet of magnetic moment m, and this is cut along its length into small n equal parts. So what is the magnetic moment of each piece here? Each piece. So each piece behaves as a bar magnet, and the magnetic moment of each piece is given by m dash is equal to m by n. Why? Because width reduced by n times, magnetic moment also reduced by m times, poles and also reduced by m times. Now, what is the new moment of inertia of this bar magnet? So we can write, if width is not given, we can use only this formula, m by 12 into L square. The moment of inertia before cutting was I is equal to ml square by 12. Now the new magnetic moment is mass reduced by 12 times, n times, because it is divided into n parts. So this will become m by n. Length remains, before cutting, after cutting, length was same. So this is L square by 12. So this ml square by 12 is the moment of inertia of the complete magnet. So this is reduced by n times. So this is will become I by n. So moment of inertia reduced by m by n. This magnetic moment also reduced by m by n. So T dash will become 2 pi root I dash by m dash bh. So this is 2 pi root I dash is I by n. So this is I by n, and the magnetic moment is m by n into bh. You can cancel this m and n. Remaining terms root over I by mbh. Remember, for a complete bar magnet, time period was 2 pi root I by mbh. When it is cut along its length, parallel to its length, the new time period is also equal to 2 pi root I by mbh. So T dash is equal to T in this case also. Now case 4. If the same bar magnet is cut into n equal parts perpendicular to its length, magnet cut into n equal parts perpendicular to its length, then, so let me take a bar magnet of magnetic moment m, and it is cut perpendicular to its length like this. How many parts? It is given as n equal parts. So this is one of the part here. So what is the new magnetic moment and the new moment of inertia? So m dash will become the length reduced by n times. So the moment of inertia, the magnetic moment also decreased by n times. What is the new moment of inertia? Remember, the mass of this one is m. Now it is divided into n parts. So the new mass will be m by n. But length previously L. Now this is L by n. So this will become L by n whole square. So m L square, here we have m L square by 12. So divided by 12. So this is m L square by 12 n cube. So moment of inertia reduced by n cube times. Moment of inertia to n cube times, moment is reduced by n times. So what is the time period now? T dash is equal 2 pi root. I is I by n cube, m is m by n, and this bh remains as bh. So we can write 2 pi root I by mbh. This is 1 by n cube, this is 1 by n when it goes up n by 1. So this will be 1 by n cube by n. This n get cancelled, n square. So this will become root over I by mbh into 1 by n square means 1 by n. So time period decreases by n times. So total time period is this one, the whole time period 2 pi root I by mbh by n. So time period decreases by n times. Instead of two identical Bohr magnets, two different Bohr magnets of moments, magnetic moments m1 and n2 with I1 is equal to I2. That means their moment of inertia are same, but magnetic moments are different. If they are placed such that this is m1 and size of this one is also same, but magnetic moment is different, m2 south to north, south to north. With the like poles together, second diagram, unlike poles together. Now in this case, what is the time period of this combination of two Bohr magnets? T1 when like poles together, here like poles together, T1 is given by 2 pi root. As they have same moment of inertia, this will become 2 pi root 2I by m1 plus m2, because magnetic moments are acting in the same direction, net magnetic moment will be sum of these two into bh. But what is T2 here? T2 is given by 2 pi root, moment of inertia remains as it is. Why? Because it is a scalar quantity. But these two are opposite. I am telling these are not identical. So let us say m1 greater than m2, the net magnetic moment will become m1 minus m2 into bh. So what is the ratio of the time periods of these two combinations? The ratio of this one and this one, we can write T1 by T2 is given by 2 pi get cancelled, 2I get cancelled, BH get cancelled, root over this T1, this will become m1 minus m2 by m1 plus m2. Now, this is the ratio of time periods. But we know that the frequency of oscillation is the reciprocal of time period. So F is equal to 1 by T. So what is the ratio of frequencies in this case? The ratio of frequencies is given by F1 by F2 is equal T2 by T1 is equal square root of M1 plus M2 by M1 minus M2. Now, let us say these two Bohr magnets, here they are placed with the like poles together, here unlike poles together. Let us say these two are perpendicular to each other. So this is the first Bohr magnet. This is the second Bohr magnet. This is south north, this is M1, this is south north, this is M2. So the resultant magnetic moment in this case is going to be root over M1 square plus M2 square plus 2 M1 M2 cos 90 0. So what is the T3 now? T3 is given by 2 pi root. The moment of inertia of this one, moment of inertia is a scalar, add them I plus I, this will become 2I only in any position. But the resultant magnetic moment here is given by root over M1 square plus M2 square into BH. So this is the time period in the third case. So in JEE it was given once what is T1 is to T2 is to T3 when two different Bohr magnets having same moment of inertia with magnets M1 M2 first placed like poles together, unlike poles together and perpendicular to each other. So the first one is 2 pi BH, here 2 pi BH, here 2 pi 2I BH. So the ratio is 1 by root over first one M1 plus M2 is to 1 by root over M1 minus M2 is to the third one 1 by root over, this already root over is there, here root over of M1 square plus M2 square. 6. Here generally we will use this concept T is equal to 2 pi root I by MBH in case of a vibrational magnetometer or simply vibration magnetometer. So in some textbooks as well as in competitive exams they may give VMM, vibration magnetometer. So what is the use of vibration magnetometer? First of all, vibration magnetometer consists of a glass box. This is a glass box made of glass with two small holes, and from a support a magnet will be suspended here. This is the magnet. Now here let us say this is the north pole, this is south pole. If you bring another small magnet here and let us say this is the north pole, north repels, so this magnet will move away, and if you remove this magnet then it will start oscillating about this one. So we can find out the time period of this one by using this formula. So what is the use of vibration magnetometer? The first use is to find the time period of oscillation. Time period of oscillation. So to find out time period of oscillation of Bohr magnet. But what is the use of finding time period? If you know the time period and you can find out the magnetic moment of the Bohr magnet without measuring its pole strength and magnetic length, if you know the time period and moment of inertia, we can find magnetic moment of Bohr magnet. Third one, if you don't know the magnetic field induction at a particular point on the surface of earth, if you don't know the BH value, by finding time period, moment of inertia and magnetic moment, we can find a horizontal component of Earth's magnetic field or Earth's magnet. So these are the three uses of vibration magnetometer. And also to find the frequency, if you know the time period you can find out the frequency, so that is a secondary. Now here in a vibration magnetometer already earth magnetic field is acting in this direction. Let us say if you keep one more Bohr magnet here, now this magnetic needle which is suspended from the support will experience two magnetic fields, one due to earth, other one due to this small magnet, so this is also B. If both are acting in the same direction, then what is the time period of this Bohr magnet? Time period of this Bohr magnet T1 is given by 2 pi root moment of inertia I only, but now M will be M only. The resultant magnetic field acting on this small magnet is given by B plus BH. B is the external magnetic field applied due to this Bohr magnet, and this is the earth magnetic field. So this is equation 1. Suppose if the magnet is reversed, then B will be acting in the opposite direction. So previously both are aiding fields, now these are opposing fields. This can be given as 2 pi root I by M into B minus BH. Now By comparing these two or squaring on both sides, this get cancelled, this get cancelled, this get cancelled. T1 by T2 is equal to root over B minus BH by B plus BH. And squaring on both sides, T1 square by T2 square is equal B minus BH by B plus BH. So by using this concept, we can find either the time period of this magnet or the magnetic induction of this external magnet, or even the magnetic field, horizontal component of earth magnetic field also. In magnetism, the net magnetic flux through any closed surface is zero. Suppose if you take a positive charge here in electrostatics, the lines of force always starts from positive charge and they move away from a positive charge. So what are the total number of field lines that are passing through a given closed surface here? So if you take a closed surface here, the total flux, that is the number of lines passing through this closed surface, is given by 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed by this one. And you can see all the field lines are perpendicular to this Gaussian surface and they are leaving outside, outwards. But whereas if you take a negative charge also, all the field lines are entering into this closed surface. But whereas in case of a magnet, south pole and north pole, the field lines are coming out like this and the lines are entering in this surface and they are passing through the magnet from south to north pole and north to south outwards. So these are the field lines in this case. Now in this, if you consider any Gaussian surface here, so in this we know that lines leaving the Gaussian surface is taken as positive flux. So if flux is positive, if they are leaving the Gaussian surface, flux is negative if they are entering the Gaussian surface. Now if you consider the same concept here, this is the leaving flux which should be taken as plus 5. This is the flux entering into this one, so it should be taken as this is entering here, negative. You can see when 5 lines are leaving this Gaussian surface, 5 field lines are entering here. So total flux must be equal to 0, as the leaving the surface is positive and flux entering surface is negative. So net flux is always 0 for a given bar magnet. So that is the Gauss law in magnetism. Branch of physics that deals with Earth's magnetism is called terrestrial magnetism. In some books it is given as geomagnetism. Dr. William Gilbert at the end of 16th century, he suggested that our Earth behaves as a huge magnet. So after the studies, we found that this is the geometric north pole and this is the geometric south poles of the bar magnet. And as Earth behaves as a bar magnet, it is found that the bar magnet which is inside the Earth, this is the bar magnet which is assumed to be inside the Earth, is making some angle theta with the geometric meridian. So the plane that is passing through this north-south poles is called geometric meridian, and the plane that is passing through the magnetic axis is called magnetic meridian. The angle between these two is called magnetic declination. So in the diagram that is denoted with theta. So this is the angle between magnetic meridian and geometric meridian. Angle between magnetic meridian and geometric meridian. You can see this diagram. This is the north pole of our Earth. This is south pole of Earth. The assumed magnet has south pole nearly towards the north pole of Earth and the north pole nearly towards south pole of Earth. at an angle. The angle between these two is called magnetic declination. Now, the reason behind the earth magnetism was explained by so many scientists at different times with so many theories, and they thought that a big huge magnet is buried inside the earth, so that's why earth behaves as a magnet. But it is not correct. After that they found that the dynamic effect, the dynamo effect, so this is because of the currents that are flowing within the earth, outer core of earth, currents in the outer core of earth, due to this nickel and iron, as these metals are rotating with earth, due to rotation of these metals, it is producing some current. That rotating current is producing magnetic field. As the current is rotating in a circular path, magnetic field will be produced along this line. So this is believed to be the correct explanation for the geomagnetism. After that, now if you take this earth magnetic field, if you suspend a bar magnet in anywhere, generally we know that it always comes in the north and south poles of our earth, but actually it will not come in this direction. It will come along the north and south poles of this geomagnet. So that is this magnet, this bar magnet. But it is found that if it is suspended here with the help of a string, it comes not along the geographic north and south poles, it comes along the magnetic north and south poles. And it is also observed that this suspended bar magnet is not horizontal to the surface of earth, it is slightly inclined with the surface of earth. Let us say this is the surface of earth, now it is inclined to this one. The angle made by this suspended bar magnet with the horizontal is called a dip angle. So I am writing this as a magnetic dip. Dou. So this is defined as angle made by suspended bar magnet with horizontal is known as magnetic dip. Let us say a small bar magnet is suspended here. So this is a small bar magnet which is suspended like this. So this is suspended like this. Now what is the angle made by this suspended bar magnet with horizontal? This is the angle, we call it as a dip. So we call it as magnetic dip angle also. Now if it is the direction of this Earth's magnetic field, and this is the angle made by this one, this can be resolved into two components here. One is along the horizontal, we write it as BH. One is vertical to this one, BV. So from this diagram we can write the horizontal component of earth magnetic field is given by B cos dou. Similarly, the vertical component of earth magnetic field is given by B sin dou. Now, if you square these two, we can write B can be written as root over BH square plus BV square. This is the resultant of these two horizontal and vertical components. Generally, the earth component value, BH value, is in terms of 0.38 into 10 power minus 4 Tesla. When it is not given, we have to use this one, but in the most of the books it is given as 0.4 into 10 power minus 4 Tesla or 4 into 10 power minus 5 Tesla. In any question, if it is given, what is the order of the horizontal component earth magnetic field? So order is, if it is between 1 to 9, this is called order. So BH value is the order of 10 power minus 5. BH is of the order of 10 power minus 5. BH is horizontal component of Earth's magnetic field. So what is this BH? If you take the net magnetic field of our earth, if you resolve this into two components, one along the horizontal and along perpendicular to the earth surface, so component of earth's magnetic field along the horizontal to the surface of earth is known as horizontal component of earth magnetic field, and these three are known as elements of earth magnetic field. The magnetic dip is measured with the help of a device called dip circle. The dip circle consists of a wooden box with a glass at its front. This is the wooden box. So in that we will keep one vertical circular scale in which a magnetic needle is suspended. Or pivoted at center. Now when it is kept like this, it makes some angle with the vertical. The angle made by the vertical is called dip angle at that point. It may be 10 degrees, 30 degrees, 40 degrees. It varies from place to place. So it is found that at the equator, the dip angle is 0. Whereas at poles, the dip angle is 90 degrees. Why? Because this will point in the vertical direction, it will show north pole towards the, let us say this is the north pole of our earth. The south pole of this needle will come down and it will be in the vertical direction. So, sorry, this is the angle made. Angle made by horizontal is called dou here. Now, this will come in the vertical direction. The angle made by with the horizontal is called dip angle. So, now the angle is 90. Now, let us say the first condition for this one to measure the dip angle by using this dip circle is this instrument should be kept along the magnetic meridian. So these are all the values if the dip circle is placed. Dip circle is kept along magnetic meridian. Let us say if the dip circle is not kept along the magnetic meridian, if it is rotated by an angle, then it cannot measure the exact dip angle. So in the magnetic meridian, what we can write, this is the magnetic meridian. So now this is the angle of dip here, dou, because this is B, this is BH, this is BV. So when the dip circle is kept at magnetic meridian, we can write tan of dip angle is equal to opposite side by adjacent side, which is given by BV by BH. So this is the tangent angle of the dip. Let us say if it is rotated by an angle theta, this is the dip circle here, this is the front face. If it is kept in the magnetic meridian, you will get this value. If the dip circle is rotated by an angle theta, then, so same diagram I am going to draw here. So this is the original magnetic meridian, but a dip circle is placed at an angle theta here. So the actual magnetic moment was like this. So this is BH. And at this point, this is rotated by an angle theta. So this component will be BH cos theta. And for both fields, both meridians, dV remains as it is. So now this is the apparent dip. So this is original dip, which I am showing in the backwards. But this is called apparent dip. So this is called dou dash. So what is tan dou dash? Dou dash, that is also equal to opposite side by hypotenuse. Opposite side in this case is also BV only. Previously it was BV, but the new horizontal component of earth magnet is BH cos theta. Similarly, if it is rotated by an angle 90 in that direction, So if the same plane is rotated by 90 in this direction, and this angle will become 90 plus theta, this is BH, this is 90 minus theta. In that plane, what is the apparent dip then? Tan dou double dash or dou 1 dash, this is dou 2 dash, which is given by, in this position also vertical field remains as it is, BV by, but this will become BH sin theta. The horizontal component, if it is theta, this is BH cos theta. If it is 90 minus theta, this will be along this direction, which is equal to BH sin theta. Now, you can see tan dou dash. These are two apparent angles, apparent dips. Apparent dip 1, this is apparent dip 2. So from these three definitions, these equations, equation 2, equation 3, we can find the relation between these. You can see BH cos theta, BH sin theta and BH here. So there is a relation between, the numerators are same, denominators have a relation, BH square plus BH sin theta square plus BH cos theta square is equal to BH square. So I am going to write this as reverse of this equation. What I am going to write, cot dou dash is equal to BH cos theta by BV. Cot dou 2 dash is equal to BH sin theta by BV, and cot dou is equal to this one, BH by BV. Squaring on both sides and adding these two, you will get, by squaring this one, cot dou 1 square plus cot dou 2 square. So this is cot dou 1 square plus cot dou 2 square is equal to cot square dou. That you can prove it, because cot dou 1 square is equal to BH cos theta by BV whole square. So BH cos theta by BV whole square plus BH sin theta by BV whole square, which is equal to BH by BV according to this one, BH by BV whole square. You can see BV same, BH cos square theta plus BH sin square theta is equal to BH. So this is the relation between real dip and apparent dip. So this is called a real dip, and those two angles are called apparent dips. Here, when a bar magnet is placed on the surface of Earth such that north pole pointing towards geographic north, so north pole pointing towards geographic north, so the field lines will be as shown in this diagram. You can see this is the axial line and this is the equatorial line. Here the lines are starting from north pole and they are entering into the south pole. Within the magnet they are traveling from south to north. But this is the pattern of the magnetic field lines when the north pole of a bar magnet is placed in the geographic north direction. Here field lines are starting from north pole and ending on south pole outside like this. But here these lines are traveling from south to north. So at this position, at this point, at one of the equatorial line of this bar magnet, the earth magnetic field lines are traveling from south to north. This is south. Earth magnetic field, horizontal components of earth magnetic fields are acting along this direction, and bar magnetic fields are acting in the opposite direction. So at a particular point, if B, that is magnetic field due to this magnet and magnetic field due to earth are equal and opposite, so that point is called null point. So you will get two null points on the equatorial line in this plane. But reality, if a bar magnet is placed like this in the direction of north and south, on equatorial line you will get two null points here. So you will get a cluster of null points around this one. So all these points will form a circle. But I am not drawing that three-dimensional diagram. I am just drawing the two-dimensional diagram. Here I am going to get two null points, N1, N2. So at this null point, or neutral point, So already we discussed this in the previous lesson also. Between two straight current carrying conductors, null point will be formed between these two, and between two charges also null point will be formed. Between this combined field of horizontal component earth magnetic field and this bar magnet, we will get null points on its equatorial line. So at null point, net magnetic field is always 0. So what is the net magnetic field here? The net magnetic field is magnetic field due to bar magnet plus magnetic field due to earth magnetic field in the horizontal direction. These two must be 0. That means this is acting in one direction, this must act in the opposite direction. Here it is clear that this is acting in one direction, this is acting in the opposite direction. These two are equal and opposite on the equatorial line. But if we take any other point, here earth magnetic field is acting in this direction and the bar magnetic field also acting in this direction. Here field cannot become 0. Field will become 0 only at on the equatorial line. So now we can write magnitude wise B bar is equal to BH bar. So if you take only the magnitude, so what is the magnetic field induction on the axial line of a bar magnet of magnetic moment M? So on the axial line, this is given by mu naught by 4 pi M by d cube, as it is equatorial line, magnetic moment by this distance from center to this point is d cube, which is equal to BH. So to find out the distance of the null point from this center of the bar magnet, we can use this formula. You will get d cube value. So from this you can find d. So d cube will become BH mu naught BH into 4 pi by mu naught M. D cube is equal to, if you write d cube here, you can bring this on this side, mu naught M by 4 pi BH, and if you want d, this is cube root of this. This is the distance of null point from the center of bar magnet in this case, distance of null point. Similarly, if you take this case here you can see there are some points here on the axial line of the bar magnet. Here south pole of the bar magnet is placed in the towards geographic north pole. So south there, north pole pointing towards geographic north. Here south pole pointing towards geometric north. So here this is the first null point, this is the second null point. So from this at this point these fields will be equal and opposite. So from north pole lines are coming out. From earth magnetic field, this is BH, this is B, and these two are equal and opposite here, net point. That means through the null points no magnetic field lines will pass. So magnetic lines cannot be drawn through the null point. So directly I am writing magnetic field due to bar magnet is equal to magnetic field due to horizontal component of earth magnetic field. This is given by mu naught by 4 pi 2m by d cube is equal, this is BH. So d cube can be written as mu naught into 2m by 4 pi into BH, and d will be cube root of this value. So this is the distance of null point on the axial line of a bar magnet when south pole of the bar magnet is placed or pointed towards the geometric north pole. If you are not sure about the direction of the magnetic field induction here, what we can write? Just to assume that the unit north pole is placed here. North to north will repel, north to south will attract in this direction. So this is the repulsive force, this is the attractive force, this is the resultant force, and that resultant force always acts in the direction of, F is in the direction of B bar. So this is the magnetic field at this point. And similarly, we know that earth magnetic field always acts from south to north. Here, this is the direction of BH value. So this is how you can find the direction of the null point, whether it is on the equatorial line or in the axial line. Similarly, here, this is the null point. Let us say unit positive pole is placed here. These two attracts, and these two repels, but the attractive force is more. So this is the direction of the magnetic field induction along this point, and BH always starts from south to north in the upward direction. So these two are equal and opposite at these 2 points.